Hey, Brendan here. Welcome to the channel and thanks for tuning in. We have another 2025 rookie profile show here for you on the channel. We're going to talk about TREVEYON Henderson, senior running back, going back for his fourth season at Ohio State. And I'm going to be joined by Jason DiRienzo, my podcast co-host. We've watched the All 22 film. In fact, we watched 4 games in All 22 film. We actually broke his game film down. If you were interested in getting access to that, man, hit me up on the email below. Would certainly love to share that information with you and have you consider joining my dashboard. But man, this is going to be a great show, man. This is what this channel is all about, getting an early look at the future draft classes, and we are fully scouting the 2025 draft class for you already. You play Dynasty, you play redraft, fantasy, whatever, and you're looking for a YouTube channel out there that's going to give you an early look at future draft classes, man, hit that subscribe button. We're going to dive deep into Henderson's film. We're going to give you a scouting report, his stats, player projections. We're going to give you his draft capital projection, his player comps. We got all sorts of good stuff. So again, hit that subscribe button. Thanks for watching. Let's get to the show. All right, Jason, let's get to TREVEYON Henderson. Again, we're going to break him down. We watched all 22 films. We watched 4 games of him on the all 22 film. We watched the Notre Dame game, the Michigan game, the Mizzou game, as well as the Western Kentucky. You and I just recorded also his Notre Dame and Michigan. We broke it down play by play, what we saw. So again, if you guys are interested in information on that, hit me up on the email or on X. Love to provide you some information on how to get, to see those film breakdowns or everything. All right. So he's going into his senior year. Everyone a little surprised that last year he did not declare for the NFL draft. I remember he was, I think, one of the last ones that we were kind of waiting on and decided to come back. So he's going into his senior year, 5'10", 208 pounds. Let's go over his career production profile here. Through 3 seasons, he has 409 carries, with 2,500 yards, averaging 6.3 yards a carry with 32 touchdowns, only 1 fumble in 3 seasons. At least that's what PFF says. So he averaged, he had a down year in 2022, right? He came off that injury, had foot surgery. Last year he came back, 854 yards, 6.2 average. So he had a 3.78 yards after contact, which is just above average with all the other backs in college football. And he's a receiving profile, as a freshman. We kind of talked about it when we did his film reviews. He had 23 receptions as a freshman and only 19 this year. I'm assuming, I don't know if that's going to go up or not this year, but so he did get a little receiving play as well. And of course, we like that with our running backs, right, from a dynasty PPR ability. So, we watched the Notre Dame game, we watched the Michigan game, and I think it can be fair to say that you and I came away a little disappointed.
Yeah, I think that is definitely fair to say. One of the main things that you notice right away, what I'll talk about the positive. I mean, he's a twitchy athlete, like you can see it. He's got natural fluid lateral agility. You see the burst and explosion when he's trying to get to the outside perimeter, or if he does get an open available gap and he gets a breakaway, he's got that breakaway speed. So he's a big time playmaker if the space is there for him to
Right.
get through. And I say if because some of the downfall that we saw is, just the functional play strength. We wanted to
Hmm.
just see a little bit more tenacity, a little bit more contact balance, as he takes a hit. We just want to see him, just keep those legs moving. He does try to get low. He tries to get that forward lean. It's just not enough. The lower body has that thickness, but it's just not enough to keep him upright if he's getting hit from the hip down. So want to see a little bit more there, but overall, I think he's a pretty solid pass catching back. We've seen him used that way. I think he's going to be more of that third down pass catching type role. But again, we got a whole nother season for him to develop,
Hmm.
so we'll see what happens. But definitely came away a little disappointed based on the overall skill set of TREVEYON Henderson.
Yeah, I agree with you. And I'm looking at the PFF stats here that were on the board, right? I mean, as a freshman, his elusive rating was 115. And this year it was
Mm.
77.6, right? But I agree with you. I think he's got that burst and acceleration, the agility. He's a compact runner. I thought his vision was okay. I mean, there were times and flashes, but we compare that to what we saw with Quinshad Junkins when we did his film and we did his review as well. We thought that maybe Quinshad had a little better vision, but the contact balance, like you said, the high pad level, and I think one other thing we should talk about is possibly, the durability. We're going to need to see, now with
Yeah.
Judkins at Ohio State, did they do that to kind of, I mean, this guy's had foot problems. He's had shoulder issues. I mean, again, 5'10", 208, has he got the ability to withstand? I mean, he got pummeled in some of those games we saw. I mean, he has to do a better job taking care of himself. And he's going to be age almost 24 years old when he is drafted next year. So he is an older prospect. Just wanted to kind of throw that out there, even though I don't think the NFL cares too much about running back ages when they're only looking for that one contract, right? Or the first 4 or
Yeah.
5 years.
That's a
So
good nugget, though.
yeah, it is. So
I didn't realize he was gonna be that old.
yeah, so I mean, he's just a kind of an older prospect to in general. So let's go through his tape grades here. His vision and patience, I gave him a 3. What did you think about his vision and patience? I mean, it was very inconsistent. Um, Seemed to just barrel forward in a lot of ways when there was the gap and he made his decision. He didn't seem to redirect once he was like navigating through the line of scrimmage.
Yeah, I gave him a 2.5. I think you said it perfectly too, right then and there. It just wasn't consistent, and that drives me bonkers. And so I just don't think he's a quick processor. The offensive line didn't give him much, but I just
Yeah, they
wanted to see
did.
a lot more quicker decisions than what he was giving us in the film.
Yeah, I mean, you're right. The offensive line, we were just commenting on how many whiff blocks there were, and it was just, I mean, they didn't
It
do
was
him any
pretty bad.
favors. Yeah, it was pretty bad. But his footwork and short
Yeah.
area quickness, another scouting trait that we look at. I gave him a
Mhm.
4. I think he's got the ability to redirect, find the cutback lanes, navigate through the line of scrimmage. On occasion, it wasn't like again consistent. But I think if he had a little bit more wiggle room within some of those creases that he was trying to find, I think he might be a little bit more explosive. So he might be one of those running backs. And I think you'd mentioned this when we were doing the recording on the all 22 films, is if he had a little bit more space to work with, we might see a little bit more elusiveness and short air quickness. But I think he's got the footwork and short air quickness to do some damage if he has a little bit of room to navigate.
Completely agree. I mean, from my brain to your mouth, I gave him a 4 as well, and I think you nailed every point.
Acceleration and speed, 3.5. I think he seemed indecisive watching a lot of that film,
Mhm.
and I don't know if that took away from his acceleration and speed. I mean, back as a freshman, I don't know, maybe the foot injury is still, did that like zap something out of him, but it just didn't
God,
look like
I
the same
think you nailed
player.
that too.
I
Yeah,
mean,
I think it's in the back of his head.
so I just didn't
I
see the
really do.
pop, I mean, as a
Yeah.
freshman, I mean, he was just electric and
Yep.
seemed like he was thinking a lot, but his acceleration and speed, I don't know if I gave a grade or not yet, but I gave him a 3.5. What'd you give him?
Yeah, I give him a 3.5 as well, and I think you nailed every point there too, and I think that's a fantastic observation is the fact that he just might be limited because he's been hurt so often. I wonder if he's so concerned about getting hurt again that he's holding back, and that could absolutely be the case because that
Yeah,
freshman year was special.
it really was. Strength and contact balance, I gave him a 3. And that probably, I might have to change it to a 2.5. In fact, I think I'm going to right now because I can, and I'm going to. I mean, I just, his lower half, man, he just didn't break a lot of tackles. It seemed like when someone got on him, he just like went down, turned sideways, and didn't have that fight and forward lean. He got tossed back a lot. He seems like
Mhm.
once he got hit, he just couldn't move piles very much. He just went down a little bit quicker than we like for a guy who, is looked at as a potential RB1 of the class.
Yeah. I mean, I gave him a 3 as well. I think a 2.5 is probably about right. If you wanna go ahead and change mine, that'd be great too, because I kind of agree with you, man. It was kind of frustrating. It's almost like he wants to be like a Ford F-150, but he drives like a Honda Accord, and it drives me absolutely crazy. So I wanted to see a little bit more, and that I'm holding back, really nailing him down on this play strength because there is another season for us to see improvement.
Easy. I had a Honda Accord many years. All right. All right. His
I did too.
receiving,
I had it for 10 years. Go ahead.
receiving profile, I gave him a 4. I mean, again, as a freshman, he looked great running, having the
Mhm.
ball out of the backfield. This season he just wasn't doing it. In Ohio State, we were talking about listening to the cover 3 podcast. They just don't throw the backs often in Ohio State, although I think they have a new OC this year. So maybe he'll get some receiving. But I think that might be the role this year, right? With Quinton Junkins there, they
Right.
might look to feed this guy, getting him out in space, relieving him of the interior tackle running on those tough yardage plays and maybe putting him out at space. But I gave him a 4. What'd you give him?
Yeah, I give him a 4 too, and again, I think you're right. I think Judkins will probably be that first and second down back, and Henderson will be that third down pass catching role. So again, they're going to complement each other really nice.
Yeah. All right. So let's talk about his draft capital. On the screen, you can see, if you're not guys listening on the podcast, he's number 47, kind of overall in the ranks, but he's ranked
Mhm.
number 2. So I mean, he's looking right now 47th. I'm sorry, that's the draft slot where he would be drafted. So I mean, I think he's a day 2 pick right now. But I see here on the show sheet, you think he could be dropping to day 3, maybe?
Well, let's put it if now that I realize I didn't know that he was an older prospect. It's the injury concerns. And
Hmm.
it's the fact that that skill that lack of functional play strength is really limiting, you know? Are you really going to depend on a guy to be a big time playmaker that he just needs that open gap? He could take it to the house at any point if it's available, but
Hmm.
I think the pass blocking is gonna be a liability too. So I don't know. It just really depends. If he does not develop and now he's sharing a field with Quinshad Judkins this upcoming season, uh, we've seen how the NFL is valuing these running backs, and they're just not going to take a guy based on brand name, or helmet scouting. If
Yeah.
he doesn't fit the mold, he doesn't fit the mold. He could definitely fall.
Yeah, well, we'll have to see. My player comp for him was Jerome Ford from Cincinnati.
Hmm.
Kind of had a similar run style to me, had the ability to take it to the house. I just when I see Trevion Henderson, when his build and his style of running and his ability to, accelerate and navigate, it just Jerome Ford kind of popped in my head. And I have a feeling that he could have a similar path as Jerome Ford, where he's drafted by a team that has a starter. There, maybe especially if he comes into being like a day 3 guy, like you're talking about, then he might just be that backup who might need an injury. Like Ford's going to get an opportunity now with Chubb. But I don't see Henderson as like, getting a job right off the bat as a starter in the NFL. Not at this point.
Yeah, and at this point, I agree with you. I have Ronald Jones.
Nice.
Again, it's just that big playmaking ability. When he was at USC, that was the number one thing. We saw him get 1 yard, 3 yards, 4 yards, but then he'll break off a 60-yarder. And to me,
Hmm.
that screams Trevion Henderson. And then you have the pass catching ability that Jones has as well. I see a very similar skill sets. The trajectory could be different, but I see Jones when I see Henderson.
All right, it's the time everyone's waiting for, big fella.
Mhm.
Buy, sell, or hold. I have a feeling I know where you're going with this, so I'm going to let you go first.
I think I'm actually gonna hold with Trey Van Henderson, and the reason is I think if I tried to sell him, I wouldn't get the value that I want. And
Mm,
again, I think that there is the upside and the hope that we see the manifestation of that freshman year once again, maybe a fully healthy Trey Van Henderson. I think I'm a hold out hope that that happens, but I think even if I tried to sell him, I'm not gonna get the value in return. I mean, this is a guy who had to go back to college because he didn't really get the draft capital grade that he was looking for either. So I'm not sure if I'm gonna get back in return what I'm hoping for. So I'd rather hold and hopefully some hype surrounds him this upcoming season, and I will sell that.
I don't know. I don't know if his value is all damaged up right now. I mean, I think there's going to be a lot of people listening to this and watching this on YouTube that are going to be very surprised that we're kind of
That's true. But the
we're
draft process could help too because he is an athletic running back, and maybe the combine will help. If
yeah. I
he's
said
healthy during the combine, Jesus.
so. For me, it's a sell. If I got somebody who thinks Trevion Henderson is still an RB 1 or 2 in this class because that's what all the websites and everything say out there, I think I
Mhm.
would sell. It's just kind of my feeling on the running back position altogether, unless there's someone really special like Bijan Robinson or just somebody,
Yeah.
but I don't see that. So look at that. 2 shows, baby. We got different buy, sells, and holds. Finally.
Thank God, it's about time.
Finally. So about time. So all right, there
Alright.
you guys got it, man. There is our breakdown on Trevion Henderson. Like we said, he's got another season left. So I think it's we've got another 10, 12, 13 games of scouting him after the college football season.